What's up, everybody? Facebook,
Hi.
YouTube, if we post it there. It's Rob, and this is Nicole.
Hello.
We are here in Houston, Texas. Let me just adjust this camera for a second. All right, there we go. Much better. Look at that beautiful backdrop. I feel really sorry for you people up in the Northeast where it's snowing and cold. I don't feel that sorry. Anyway, wanted to go live. I'm down here in Houston, Texas, just enjoying this beautiful day with Nicole Richard.
Yes.
Nicole is the new City Fam Executive Director, and we were driving back from church this morning, and we thought, you know what? I've never interviewed you, so let's go live on Facebook and just talk so that everyone can get to know you and hear all about the exciting stuff happening in Texas and for City Fam overall. So. Again, Nicole is City Fam's new executive director. She was the chapter lead of Houston originally.
Yes.
And we just saw her talent and asked her if she would step into this position, and gratefully she accepted it. But tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your background so they all know who you are.
Okay. Background, let's see. I actually have 3 sons. All 3 of my boys are grown. My youngest son is 20, my oldest son is about to be 23. 2 of them are in college, and 1 is actually in the minors for a baseball team right now. Having fun, actually. And my degree, my background is in ministry. So I have a master's in family ministry from Bethel that I just recently got within the last 5 years, which was an incredible experience. So this whole City Fam thing, this is perfect. I love it. It's this transition for me. I went through a divorce about 3 years ago, and in the middle of that divorce found myself without a job. So having been a pastor at a church, going through a divorce, it was just hard, messy, I don't know, difficult really is probably the way to describe that. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of all of that, losing my husband as far as the marriage goes, losing my kids because now I'm an empty nester, and then losing my church because I had lost a job, I found myself in a place of not having any community at all. Everything that I knew within 6 weeks was completely and totally different. Not by my choice at all, but I really recognized the need for community. I felt like in that moment, getting clarity with God was very specific and said, just stop everything for 1 year. And so I did. I just pressed pause. I didn't change churches. I didn't move out of the house. I just pressed pause on everything. And within that year, I found City Fam. Actually close to the middle of that time. By the end of that year, on a random strange circumstance, I ended up in DC. I had booked a trip a couple of years before that, and it was completely paid for. It was either go or just skip out on the trip. And at that point, you had already connected me to Iona. Yeah. So Iona and I were working on the Houston chapter here, just, kind of meeting together, doing the Truth About Sex study, actually. Yeah. And
well, hold on. Let's pause there for a second.
Okay.
So I just find it interesting that, obviously Nicole's background and my background are very different. She came from the church world. I came
There's
from
Jessica.
Yeah, I see. Jessica Nuncio. What's up? How's it going? Megan Smith.
Hey
Annette
guys.
Marie.
Annette.
So my experience, my background was from the club business, obviously a lot different than the church world. Hers was from the church world.
Complete opposite, actually, right?
But we both ended up in the same place, which was, in a place of, okay, what do I do now? Who do I even do it with? It just find it interesting that we both wound up in the exact same place, coming from completely different worlds. What drew you to City Fam? What was it about City Fam in particular that made you want to be part of it?
So I think the biggest piece was that you guys were normal. I wanted normal. Having been in the church world, I love being in the Word. I love what God teaches us, but I know who Jesus is, and I think Jesus goes out and he hangs out with the people, just the everyday people. And that's who I wanted to be around. And I feel like sometimes in the church where we can get really sheltered, where we like preserve ourselves, like, you know, don't go there because it's bad and dangerous. And I wanted to be
Totally.
normal.
I love that. Yeah, we were talking the other day, and I feel like there's a lot of people, specifically in church leadership, they're so insulated. You know, they're so insulated that they don't even know the challenges that most people, like people in just the everyday world that aren't, you know, on staff at a church or whatever, they don't understand the challenges that sometimes that the world in general is facing. And then the other thing that you said is how we were normal, which is a pretty big compliment, because I you know, thought that I mention that all the time, where I'm like,
Teresa.
I had some friends, so, you know, a friend in particular, Billy Lofton, was the guy that really I started this with, and Heather Hahn, actually. And they were like people that loved Jesus, but that were normal, you know, like, like I always have to mention that second part, like, oh, but they were normal, because, you know, there are people that aren't always normal in the church world. And I don't mean that, I guess I mean that as a shot, but, you know.
I think they are. I think a lot of times they gather together and they create this community that's just inside themselves a lot of times. Like, I think it's done genuinely and innocently, that they are just trying to protect themselves in a way.
Of course. No, I get it. Totally understand. So anyway, tell us about what's been happening in Houston.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So Houston is growing. First of all, we have a new Houston chapter lead. So shout out to Paul Jenkins, because he is amazing. He's fantastic.
Not at bull riding.
No, actually. You're right about
I
that.
got a great video of Paul bull riding the other night, and he does not represent Texas well at all.
No, I know. Can we post like both of y'all's bull riding experiences
We
side by
definitely
side?
should. We
we do
definitely
that? Okay, so there's Paul, and then we have a pretty full staff here in Houston. There's a couple of positions that we're looking to fill, but for the most part, we have an absolutely incredible team. And one of the things that I would say that I love about the Houston chapter, and I know Jessica's on here so she could attest to this, is we have quite a few people on the Houston team who've been there from like ground zero, like a year and a half ago, getting Houston started, and they are still ride or die kind of people. Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, I honestly don't think I could have done Houston without people like Jessica and Alicia and Michael. And
it's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, volunteers really make, you know, they're the backbone of us in Baltimore as well. So.
Well, and they're my community, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're the people that, you know, I call whenever I'm trying to figure things out, or whenever I'm frustrated, or honestly, just when I'm having a great day.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So how many people are in the group? Like, is it, would you say, how many, I mean, last I looked, the Facebook group had, what, a couple hundred, several hundred?
I think we're right at 300.
300 people?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
That's great. And events, social renegades and social and service events planned?
Right. Yeah,
every
so
month?
we actually have our entire 2020 calendar written. Did I tell you that?
I think you might have mentioned that.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
we actually went on a retreat to the beach. We call it a retreat, but we went and played. We went to the biker rally, actually, in Galveston.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So we went out there and planned the entire year. So we have all of our renegades are the first Friday, and all of our social events are the third Saturday, except for this one, Martin Luther King. So
that's awesome.
yeah, that's how we have it set up.
So again, just to reiterate for anybody watching, you can, if you're just joining us on live, you can go back and watch. So what drew Nicole in was that the community, you know, basically, you know, looking for people, normal people to connect with, do things with, and that were safe, you know, and weren't gonna, you know, cause her to go down a path maybe that she didn't want to be on. But you know, it's such an important thing. Like, social isolation doesn't work. It just doesn't work long term. You know, the options for me when I got out of the club scene was like, okay, stay in and rent a Redbox movie by myself, because I was trying to really live according to the word personally. Even though City Fam's not faith-based, that was my path. or I could go to the bar, which was really dangerous, you know, because now I'm around a bunch of people that don't share my values. And, you know, you become like the people that you associate with. Sooner or later, you start picking up their habits, and then that's exactly what happened to me. So,
and the bar was a new scene for me.
yeah.
Like, having been in the church world, you
Yeah.
know, we would actually, as a pastor on staff at a church, we would sign a contract saying that we wouldn't go do that. So for me,
Which is crazy to me because, you know, like the people that need the help the most typically are in those places.
Right.
So they say you have to sign a contract to say you won't go to those places where the people are that need the help.
I've never thought about that till
Yeah.
just now.
No, that really is the heart behind City Fam, because it's like, hey, I still want to go to those places.
Me
you know,
too.
I want to go hear some live music or grab some food, or just on a Friday or Saturday night have some fun. I don't want to go alone, because I don't want to be the one guy going this direction while 99% of the people are going the opposite direction.
Right.
But if I can go with a group of like-minded people, then all of a sudden, it's not only is it more fun for me, it's effective, you know, because now we're influencing the people that are around us in a positive way, because they may not even know that there's another way to do life, you know, and now you're modeling it for them in a way that they can relate to. So anyway, I've said this a million times, but I'll keep saying it. So, okay.
Well, I get to live it now, and that's what I really like. I don't know that there's a lot of groups out there. There's a lot of singles groups that go to the bar. There's a lot of married groups that go to the bar, but there's not a lot that go with intentionality of creating community.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's what it is. It's like, I'm there because I know people there are just as lonely as I've been at one point, and maybe again at one point.
And that's really what makes it different, is the intentionality, like we talked about, because without the intentionality, we're meetup. You know, there's no difference between us and meetup. But what makes it different is that you're putting intention behind the social events. You're putting intention behind it, because I'm like, okay, I'm trying to make you a better version of yourself. I'm going to try to add value to your life. You're trying to add value to my life. We're genuinely trying to help each other. And I just believe that, you know, when we socialize, even when we socialize, not just when we volunteer, but even when we socialize, we are making each other a better version of ourselves.
Can I talk about that for a minute?
Absolutely.
Okay. So one of the things that I found this year is I rearranged my goals this past year, not 2020, but 2019. And whenever I did that, I started realizing that some of my goals have been pretty stale, really. Same old thing. And then I had a new job, so it was like production, very typical kind of goals. But in 2019 at the beginning, I changed some of that. And I think that goals that I've had for a long time that I haven't reached, I'm reaching. And I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing part of that has to do with City Fam, because I've had this community for this entire year, and I'm sharing things that I'm working towards or things that honestly I'm failing at. And I have these people around me who are like, hey, let's do it together. Let's get in a Facebook group. Let's work on this. Like something as simple as losing weight, right? Like
100%.
A lot of people's goals.
Yeah, I use that analogy all the time. I go to boot camp in the morning because my friends are there.
Yes.
So it's easier for me to continue going at 5:45 in the morning, gasping for air, you know, at 6 o'clock, because my friends are there. So I've now gone to boot camp consistently for 5 years early. But I can directly attribute that to the fact of the community of friends that go to boot camp that makes it possible for me to keep going. So like, you have to have it, you know, in addition to the fact that something that her and I talked about the other day is how God, you know, wires each one of us, and he gives us each specific gifts. Like I'm good at something like promoting, let's say, but I can't hang a pair of curtains. Like I'm not handy at all, but there are people in the group that are handy. So if I need something fixed, guess what? A lot of times I'll call somebody that's good at that thing and they'll help me. But if they need something promoted or, you know, marketing related, they might call me and ask me for advice. And it's like when you have that community of people that are genuinely pulling for each other, and you got all those different sets of skills that you have access to, now all of a sudden you start getting to your goals faster because you got help, you know? So I do think that there's definitely something to that.
And just knowing like people are rooting for you
Yeah.
makes you a little bit more like, okay, I got this. And it's a daily thing,
Yeah.
you know, it's like you get up every day and go, okay, what do I do? But you also talk about things that I just haven't even heard before. I mean, maybe I've heard them, but not paid as much attention. Like the morning routine thing.
Oh.
I didn't really start doing that until like mid-year this year, and that changed. Like that better version of yourself thing. Like there's a lot that comes with City Fam that I didn't realize until I started really getting into it. Like you don't get that kind of thing. Like in Houston, we have a couple of singles groups. I'm still in them just so I can like see what's going on, see if I want to like use some of their material. But like we have some groups called like Pursuit of Happiness. I don't see a lot of let's become a better version of ourselves in there. It's a very different culture. And
it's just
I
pretty
love
much
the City Fam.
partying. I mean, social, which is fun, you know, but it's there's no values behind it. That's the thing that I often say is we're a social group with values, you know, and which makes us very different because most people are just social at the expense of being social. So it's like, hey, let's just go out and have a good time, and whatever happens, happens. You know, YOLO. We're like, no, let's go out and have a good time, but let's not forget what we want most, because I don't want to do something tonight that's gonna sacrifice those long-term goals. You know what I mean? And let's make sure that we're kind of keeping each other in check, because ultimately we all want what we want most, right? I mean, I want what I want right now, no doubt. There's things that I want sometimes, and I'm like, I want it, and I want it now. But I don't want to
chocolate.
Yeah, like food. I might sacrifice. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't care. I'm just gonna eat it. But there's certain things that I'm like, I'm not willing to do this to sacrifice that because I want that too bad, you know. And that's really what we're trying to remind each other of, is say, well, don't forget, you know, where you're going and what you want, and really that cheering section, like you mentioned, you got to have it because sometimes you get tired, you know, and it's hard. But so, tell us about what's happening overall for City Fam. So again, Nicole's our new executive director for the whole organization.
Yes.
And she's working on some high-level things that I've wanted to see happen for a long time, didn't know how to do, and she is, you know, taking them on. So tell us about what's happening for the organization.
Well, in the near future, like here on Tuesday, we're actually going to be sitting down working on a business plan. So I think that's a big piece. Even more than that, we have chapters that are popping up all over the world, not just in the U.S., not just in cities here, but all over the world. We have a chapter in London, we have a chapter in Montreal. These chapters are just getting started. So we've broken all of these down into phases, phase 1, 2, and 3, just to help cities ease into this, because becoming a City Fam chapter, there's a lot to it. It's not just throw an event on Facebook. And so we really want to help them do it well. So we've created these phases, and we've put different cities in this training. So part of it's developing the training, truly. And a lot of people have gone ahead of me, so whatever you don't think that I deserve credit for that, I don't. I'm just putting the pieces in line.
She's done a lot. She's done a whole lot. So you got the board operating, you got an organizational chart. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we have a full board of directors right now. Not only do we have a full board, but we've established what kind of board we want to have, and we've created bylaws, and we've created like a whole booklet full of exactly what we want how we want our board to function. Instead of being an organizational board, we're actually going to be an advisory board. So they're going to be my boss. So, you know, that's kind of big. I like that. And then our organizational chart, we have really three different pieces. We have our board, and then we have our City Fam headquarters staff, and then we have what each one of the city's organizational charts should look like if they're just amazing rock star cities. So
that's great.
Yeah.
It's hard to be someone's boss when they're smarter than you, but so yeah, we basically have a full headquarters staff, and there's only 2 people working that are actually getting paid part-time, not either of us.
Yeah, no.
So we're actually, you know, leading a movement that's now spreading to internationally. We have, you know, again, we have groups meeting all over the United States, Dallas, Columbus, Ohio, Seattle, LA, and we have 2 part-time staff members. That's it. Everybody else is volunteers. So we really, I don't know why God structured it that way, but He's definitely made us work and earn this. But it's been good, you know. But I'm very excited for the future. So tell everybody, what are our plans for the future year? First off, hey, Jerry Lewis, Christina Redmond, Joe Januza, Susan Hart, Thanks for watching. Rob Slick, Craig Milligan, Sarah Ann. How's everybody doing back in Baltimore?
Hi.
Oh.
What is the weather like in Baltimore right now?
I think it's snowing today.
Is it?
I heard it was snowing.
I really want to see it snow.
So tell everybody, what is our focus for the next 12 months or this year, 2020?
All right, so we have 3 different main focuses, and then we have an additional one with our brand. But the first one, we really want to work on function. Exactly, how do we function? Because you guys in Baltimore, y'all have been doing this for 5 years now. Here in Houston, we're a year and a half in. So we really want to make it easier for all of these other cities by giving them a very easy breakdown of how to do it. So function is our very first goal. Second is people. We really want to make sure that we never, ever lose that, because that's the whole reason why we're doing this, is each other, right?
Yeah.
And then our third is finances. So we can't do this without some kind of revenue.
Right.
So we're going to be talking really about different things: sponsorships, donations, contributing memberships, capital campaigns.
Yeah.
That's going to be the second half of the year.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully we're going to get to the point where we're completely sustainable and we don't have to ask for, donations, because that is a big challenge for nonprofits. I hear actually it's very common. It's the biggest challenge for any 501c3 is having to raise money to do the work that you're created to do. So our goal is, Nicole and I, what we've been working on is getting to a place where we don't have to do that, and that we see as being chapters, starting at different chapters around the country and around the world. Well, they'll pay in dues to use the brand, almost like a franchise fee. Mm-hmm. Also, we're going to do a documentary while we're on the road doing our tour, which we're going to talk about in a moment, in a few weeks. Going to be called The Truth About Loneliness. That's going to be generate some revenue, we believe. And then we're hoping and praying that Home opens this year in fall this year, which would be a game changer, not only for City Fam, but it's going to send a shockwave throughout the country and even the world, because it's going to be just a different way for people to get their shit together, for lack of a better term, rather than say, hey, if you're really doing bad, you got to hit rock bottom and then go to recovery, or you hit rock bottom and then you finally start going to church or whatever it is. We're going to create a bar that helps people get their shit together before they hit rock bottom, because it's going to be filled with people that care about each other and can pull them into a life that maybe they didn't even know could be lived that way. Mm-hmm. So that's how our plan to get completely sustainable and provide for ourselves, if you will. So anyway, let's talk about, MLK is tomorrow. So if you're in Houston, we're serving at a place called Abba House.
Yes.
Which does stuff for refugees, is that right?
Yeah, actually the pastor works with the embassy, and he gets the refugees. A lot of them are like the Lost Boys of Sudan, I believe, if you know anything about that.
No.
And they bring them in. This is really cool. Can I tell you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So they build these houses, and on one side of the house is bedrooms and bathrooms, and the other side is bedrooms and bathrooms. And then in the middle is the kitchen and the living room.
Wow.
And what they do is they put an American family and they put a refugee family in the same house, and the refugee family actually has the ability to teach the American family how to garden, how to milk goats, how to do things that are just
I always wanted to know how to milk a goat.
You get to learn tomorrow. I'll make sure you get to learn tomorrow. And then, so we actually are going to Abba's house to help them stain some fences, maybe even repair some fences, and plant a garden for one of the houses. And the American family the whole time is teaching the refugee family how to work a microwave, how to drive a car, how to get a license, like very practical things. And so it's
awesome.
a both and.
It's a great idea.
Incredible?
Yeah, really good idea.
And it's just like down the street.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I know.
And if you're in Baltimore, we're going to be at a place we're going to be serving with Civic Works, and we're going to be at 3 different places. Actually, I don't know if it's too late to sign up. If for some reason registration is closed and you want to volunteer with City Fan tomorrow, drop me a DM right here on Facebook, and I'll make sure that I pass your information on to our service director, and we'll try to get you in. But we're going to be at 3 great nonprofits in Baltimore, and we do that every month. So if you don't make this one, check us out next month. Then the tour, the Truth About Sex tour, is coming up. This is kind of independent of City Fam for the most part. This is something that I'm doing for my book. I actually am taking Nicole on the tour with me because people gravitate toward her. And if the groups that we're starting, so basically this is the goal. The goal is to go out, talk to people that are waiting, or a lot. We're going to be speaking in a lot of churches, so a lot of those people are waiting, or at least they know they should be waiting. Maybe no one's ever explained it to them why they should be waiting, so they're a little like, I don't know, maybe they are, maybe they're not, but maybe they know they should be, and they want to learn why they should be. So that's what I've done a pretty good job at explaining for people. So that's why churches are now opening their doors for me to come in and talk. So I'm going to break it down for them. We're going to encourage them to start Truth About Sex small groups, because again, if you decide to do this, you better have a community, because you're going to get lonely real quick without it. So as these small groups start, we really want to introduce Nicole to each of their leaders, because she will be their point of contact should they decide at the end of those 8 weeks that they want to become a City Fam. Then they're going to go into the City Fam path. Nicole will be the person that they'll start talking to, and she's very likable, like I said, so it just kind of nurtures them a little bit into wanting to be part of this movement, this greater thing. So I'm very excited. I've never been to the United Kingdom outside of flying through the airport. So
yeah, what I think is really neat is that these cities are cities that are reaching out. If you guys haven't taken a look at the map, make sure you do that, because I'm in awe of it. So if I am, I'm sure you would be too.
Yeah, we have several hundred people from all over the world that have added their name and their location to the map. I mean, countries like Saudi Arabia, all over Africa, mm-hmm. Australia, Singapore, mm-hmm. all over Europe, the United States, pretty much almost in every state there's people that are saying, hey, we want something like this. We're suffering. I get emails all the time from people that are bored and lonely and depressed, and they're just like, don't know what to do with themselves. And that's really the problem that we are fixing, or attempting to fix. So very excited about the tour. What are you excited about mostly with it?
With the tour?
Yeah.
I think the people, I love getting to work with the people here, but getting to work with people all over the world, mm-hmm. who understand, who understand being normal and waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Cool. So what else is coming up? MLK. Oh, last thing I want to talk about before we end it. The workshop, the Stop Dreaming, Start Creating workshop is coming up next weekend. So if you don't know, you can go to the City Fam website and find that. And that really is designed to help you, should you choose to do the workshop, figure out what is it that you want most. So when I talked earlier, when I was saying, okay, I'm not willing to trade the things I want most for these certain things that I want right now, because there's a lot of bad things I want right now that I don't do because I continue to remember what I want most. But it wasn't until I recognized those things with the help of a life coach, shout out to Lori Lockamy, that I was willing to sacrifice the things that I was wanting right now, namely sex, alcohol, drugs, whatever it was. I wanted all those things in the moment, but I was sacrificing the things I wanted long term because I didn't even know what they were. A life coach helped me figure those things out, and then I was willing to, then I started to figure out ways to get there. And I was taught all these different high performance techniques by coaches, which we're going to teach to you for a fraction of what it cost me to learn them, so that now not only can you identify what it is that you want most, now we're going to give you a plan for how to actually make them happen. I'm not an author, you know what I mean? I'm not a writer even. I barely know how to type. But I was able to write a book through the help of a life coach and these techniques, which helped me make my calendar work for me and really help, visualization and all the different things that you're going to learn this weekend. So Stop Dreaming, Start Creating. If you're in Baltimore, it's actually happening at the City Fam offices. It's $149, and it's Friday night and Saturday day, and you're gonna get a real good idea of your purpose and then how to make it happen. And 2020 will be your best year if you apply these things.
And you don't have to, if you're in Baltimore, if you live in Baltimore, that's great, but I live in Houston and we are all still doing it. So no matter where you live, you can still be joining us for that Stop Dreaming, Start Creating. Yeah. And it's not just a fraction of the cost, you guys. It's a fraction of the time. We're doing it in 2 days.
2 days.
And like I said before, 2019 changed for me. I want it to change for all of you too. We don't just talk about being a better version of ourselves. We actually want to give you the tools to do it. Yeah. Let's put action behind this. Let's make the changes that we want to make. Me And him and all of us.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting around and you're bitching about something about your life that you're not happy about and you're not working hard, meeting with a life coach, volunteering, what I made a video yesterday where I was like, I get people that hit me up that are depressed, and I'm like, okay, are you going to the gym every day, or at least 4 or 5 times a week? Are you going to church every Sunday? Are you volunteering regularly? Because if you're not doing those 3 things, don't complain, because those things all help with depression. You have to get up and work. If you're not doing any of those things and your life is great, mazel tov, keep going like that if that's working for you. But if you're depressed and you're not doing those things regularly, you need to make a change. And in the same way, like if you're working a bullshit job that you're not happy about, you're unfulfilled and you're complaining about your boss and whatever, and you're not in workshops like this that are provided to you for like barely any money, then shame on you, because it's not going to just land in your lap. You have to go out and get it, So check it out. I'm sorry if that was harsh, but seriously, it's real. We've got a great testimonial video of people that came last year, and the stories were like really powerful about how it changed people's lives. We got messages all year from people that started nonprofits and went on mission trips and did all kinds of things that they
quit their jobs and
started a business,
made changes.
Yeah, 100%. So if you're watching this and
we had 3 girls from Houston go last year, and they came back, and they made real changes. That's the thing. Yeah. This is just one tool to help you do that.
Well, anyway, thank you for letting me take some of your time up and letting everybody out here get to know you better. Appreciate you guys. See you back in Baltimore if you're in Baltimore.
Bye.